The 2025 free agent class could be insane.
Insane, I tell you!
What if I told you a total of 22 All-Star games, 5 40-goal scorers, 3 MVPs, 6 Stanley Cups, 3 future Hall of Famers could be on the market after the 2025 Stanley Cup is handed out? There possibly could be 3,499 goals, 5,206 assists, 7,939 points available for GMs to bid on this summer. And that's not including former Vezina Trophy winner that could be on the market as well. The names on this list range from huge players to very solid that any team would want to add. While the summer of 2025 is a year away, they could decide to stay where they are. These names could potentially break cap friendly. Cap wages. Thanks, Capitals. I am Mark from Big Apple Hockey, and this is the crazy potential 2025 free agent class. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of great hockey content and an entertaining interactive podcast. So check us out in our library of videos. Sidney Crosby has been the biggest name in hockey since he entered the league in 2005. Sid the Kid has carried the weight of being the league's next great player before he was even drafted. He's only won 2 Hart trophies, 2 Rocket Richard trophies, 2 Art Ross trophies, 2 Conn Smythe, and 3 Stanley Cups. The latter 2 in back-to-back fashion. As we covered on our podcast a couple weeks ago, word out of Pittsburgh is that Crosby is closing in on an extension. However, since he hasn't signed that extension, Crosby remains on this list. For now. The Toronto Maple Leafs have been disappointing to say the least in the Mitch Marner era. Alright, no one's calling it that. But Mitch Marner is Robin to Austin Matthews' Batman. While Marner has been a 2-time All-Star and among the league leaders in scoring over the last decade, frustrated Maple Leaf fans and pundits thought he was going to be going elsewhere in a Leafs shakeup this offseason. However, Marner appears to be going nowhere. With the rising cap and salary coming off the Leafs' books, he could potentially stay and keep the Leafs' big three together. The biggest free agent story of the last decade was John Tavares leaving the New York Islanders for his hometown Toronto Maple Leafs. He was embraced in Toronto, and there were no hard feelings on Long Island.
Boo this man!
The funny part, this was supposed to jumpstart the Leafs' dominance. Instead, it was the Islanders who won 5 playoff series and made back-to-back conference finals against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tavares has just been under a point per game as a Leaf, slightly better than his 2-time MVP days with the New York Islanders. The Ontario native still scored 29 goals, 36 assists last season. However, the Leafs are going to need his cap space to keep Mitch Marner. One has to wonder where JT is playing next season. Some players are paid and underperform, making their contract worthless. And then there's a player who outperforms the contract and becomes a bargain. A few years ago, Leon Draisaitl made our list of the most underpaid player in the NHL, as he made $8.5 million while scoring 110 points. Since his 8-year, $8.5 million AAV deal kicked in 2017, Draisaitl has rewarded then Edmonton GM Peter Chiarelli's confidence in him by recording 297 goals, 416 assists, 713 points. 5 of those are 100-point seasons, and he won the MVP in the 1920 season. Only one player in the NHL has more points than him, and no surprise, it's his teammate, Connor McDavid. It's safe to say he's going to get a huge increase in salary. Question is, can they afford to give it to him in Edmonton? While Nathan MacKinnon and Kel McCarr are the award-winning big names on the Colorado Avalanche, anyone who watches the Avalanche will tell you how important Finnish forward Mikko Rantanen is. After notching his first 92-point season, Rantanen has only gotten better with back-to-back 100-point seasons. Soon, his contract will come to an end, and it's hard to see Joe Sakic letting him go. How much of an upgrade will it be from his current $9.5 million salary? That's what remains to be seen. Without a doubt, Igor Shesterkin is the backbone of the New York Rangers. The Rangers goaltender won the 2022 Vezina Trophy and was an MVP finalist when he posted an obscene 36, 13, and 4 record with a .935 save percentage and a .207 goals against average. While he hasn't performed up to those lofty numbers in the regular season, his playoff numbers are just as impressive, with a .928 save percentage and a 2.41 goals against. We discussed on our podcast what Igor Shesterkin's next contract could look like, as reports have surfaced that Shesterkin is looking for a record-breaking deal. Hard to see the Rangers letting him get to the open market. A couple years ago, I had Aaron Ekblad winning the Norris Trophy in our midseason awards. Unfortunately, that season saw the Florida Panthers' top overall pick break his leg, and Cale Makar would win the Norris. Since, Ekblad has proven to be a warrior in the playoffs for the Florida Panthers, leading their blue line to the 2024 Stanley Cup. While Ekblad's offensive production has gone down from the near point-per-game pace it was 2 years ago, Florida will likely retain their blue line stalwart as they face a cap crunch. Brock Boeser arrived in Vancouver in 2017 and immediately made an impact with the Canucks, but he couldn't top 23 goals in years 3 through 6, and it began trade speculation. That is until last season, when the 6'1" winger deposited 40 pucks behind NHL goaltenders. Boeser put up a point-per-game pace in the playoffs too, which included a Game 4 hat-trick versus the Nashville Predators, where he scored the game-tying goal in the closing seconds. If he puts up these numbers again next season, are the Canucks going to be able to afford him? No one is as much of a pest in the NHL as Bruins captain Brad Marchand. From getting under opponents' skins to stealing cell phones, Marchand's presence cannot be questioned. The 4-time All-Star is likely going nowhere, but at least he makes this list because he hasn't signed yet. Hard to believe he could never wear another team's jersey, right? I don't think I could ever unsee that. And it's only a matter of time until we hear he's staying in Boston. After signing in Ottawa in 2022, Claude Giroux was supposed to lead the Senators into the playoffs as a young talent base grew. Giroux is yet to play in a playoff game with Ottawa, and may be moved by the trade deadline for Steve Staios could flip him for assets. If he is moved at the trade deadline for the second time since 2022, he'll likely hit the open market again. Rarely does a player hit their peak as late as Brock Nelson has. Since turning 30, the Islanders center has notched 3 30-goal seasons, totaling 107 goals and 96 assists. His numbers in his 30s are much better than his last 4 years in his 20s. Nelson has always taken team-friendly deals and loves Long Island, but GM Lou Lamoriello might have to make a decision on the soon-to-be 33-year-old forward, though it's hard to see the Islanders letting him go. Nikolaj Ehlers has been thrown around in trade rumors all summer, and for good reason. The Danish forward has been a solid point producer since entering the NHL in 2015. Though he's never topped 30 goals, he could price himself out of Winnipeg with another 61-point season. No player has won a Stanley Cup with both Florida franchises until Carter Verhaeghe did it this season. The often-traveled winger settled in South Florida, where his career took off. First, he established himself as a money player with 3 game winners in the 2022 playoffs, but he would score 7 more game winners over the last 2 long playoff runs. That isn't to say that Verhaeghe hasn't produced in the regular season. Swaggy has scored 76 goals over the last 2 years with the Panthers, trailing only teammate Sam Reinhart, who is fresh off a 57-goal season. Florida will have to re-sign Aaron Ekblad, but they will try their damnedest to re-sign this Toronto native. And that's our list. If you think of any players that I might have left off this list, throw them down in the comments below. How about this list? This could be potentially the greatest free agent class of all time, but it's a little bit hard to see some players like Sidney Crosby going elsewhere. It's just unfathomable. Don't forget to tune in to Big Apple Hockey every Wednesday at 5:45. And we're always taking user comments because without you, we can't have our show. So thank you very much, everybody. And
your ideas are intriguing to me, and I wish to subscribe to your newsletter.